I shared a home with Elena, a lovely daughter, and a marriage that others envied. I thought we would be happy like this for a lifetime. That was until her childhood sweetheart, the one that got away, Julian Hayes, returned from overseas. 1 month. It took only 1 month for me to become a complete joke. When Julian returned, Elena went to pick him up at the airport and threw a grand welcome party for him that evening. She didn't tell me. On the phone, she said there was an emergency surgery at the hospital and she wouldn't be coming home. I agreed, telling her to take care of herself and not to get too tired. After hanging up, I finished reading the bedtime story to Lily, and she soon fell asleep hugging her teddy bear. But in the middle of the night, Lily's weak crying woke me up. I reached out to touch her forehead. It was scorching hot. The red liquid in the thermometer stopped steadily at 102. 5 degrees. My chest tightened, and I immediately dialed Elena's number. The first time, after a long, busy tone, no one answered. The second time, it rang twice before being abruptly cut off. I didn't dare delay any longer. I wrapped the feverish, groggy Lily in a blanket, grabbed the car keys, and rushed to Chicago General Hospital where Elena worked. The midnight emergency room was a suffocating mix of disinfectant and anxiety. I held the sleeping Lily, waited in line, registered, and paid the fees, running up and down the cold corridors. Lily whimpered in my arms, her face flushed red from the fever, unconsciously calling out for Mommy. Every word felt like a red-hot needle stabbing my heart. Around the corner of the hallway leading to the lab, I ran into Dr. Patterson from Elena's department. He had just come out of surgery, looking exhausted. He froze when he saw me. "Caleb, it's so late. Why did you bring Lily here?" "High fever." I turned slightly, so he could see the listless child in my arms. "Oh wow, why didn't you call Elena?" "Dr. Patterson looked confused. She took comp time today. She should be at home watching the kid." My feet were suddenly nailed to the floor. The surrounding noise seemed to be sucked away in an instant. I could only hear the sound of blood rushing to my head. "She is off today." I heard my own voice, terrifyingly dry. "Yeah, she asked the chief for several days off, said she had something important to do." "You didn't know?" Dr. Patterson finished speaking, his pager beeped, and he hurriedly answered a call and left. I stood there alone, holding Lily. The window at the end of the corridor was open, and the bitter Chicago winter wine poured into my collar, the chill drilling from my skin straight into my bones. I looked down at my daughter's flushed face and felt it was all absurd and laughable. Her mother took several days off to accompany a very important friend. Meanwhile, her daughter had a fever of 102.5, and her husband's calls were hung up on without hesitation. At 3 a.m., I brought Lily, who had finished her 4-drip, back home. The empty house was dead silent. My daughter slept, but I couldn't. I picked up my phone and scrolled through TikTok for a while. Maybe the welcome party was too eye-catching. Someone was bound to post a video to show off. Her best friend, Julian's friends, or even irrelevant passersby. That's how I found over a dozen live streams from different angles on the app. The algorithm is truly powerful. Knowing my wife was welcoming her childhood crush, it specifically targeted me. The first video was posted by Elena's best friend, captioned, "My girl deserves to be happy forever." In the video, Elena wore a champagne-colored evening gown I had never seen before, smiling radiantly as she affectionately served food to Julian. That dress was expensive and revealing, with an open back down her waist. She had never worn it in front of me. Expressionless, I scrolled past. A moment later, I found a second one. This time it was filmed by Julian's friend, the camera openly focused on the two of them, with the song "Marry You" playing in the background. Elena held a wine glass, her cheeks flushed, looking up at Julian. That gaze, focused and obsessed, was also something I had never seen. Dawn broke. I changed a cold towel for Lily, having not closed my eyes all night. The sound of a key turning in the lock was exceptionally piercing in the silence. The door opened, and Elena walked in. Or rather, the woman in the champagne dress walked in. That dress, so bright and moving in the video, was now wrinkled and clinging to her, the hem stained with unknown wine spots. A strong smell, a mixture of alcohol and strange cologne, rushed into my guarded territory before she did. That wasn't my scent, nor was it the scent of this home. She finally saw me, sitting in the shadows of the sofa. Her steps paused, her eyes subconsciously dodging mine, drifting to the pothose plant in the corner that she had nearly killed. She tossed her designer bag onto the cabinet with a dull thud. "Last night, I meant to tell you." Her voice was light, carrying the rasp of a hangover and a trace of undetectable guilt. I didn't speak, just watched her quietly. She grew increasingly uncomfortable under my gaze, reaching up to tuck her hair behind her ear before speaking again. The department had an impromptu dinner. The chief was there. I couldn't get out of it. And my phone happened to die. She began to skillfully weave a lie, one that sounded reasonably plausible. In the past, I might have believed it. Unfortunately, last night the algorithm taught me a vivid lesson. I picked up the bottle of children's fever reducer from the coffee table and shook it. The liquid inside made a clear sound. Lily had a fever of 102.5 last night. My voice was also light, but it hit the calm surface like a rock. Elena's face changed instantly. She walked over quickly, her tone urgent. What about now? Did the fever break? Why didn't you call me? This question was truly the joke of the year. I laughed. I genuinely found it funny, my chest vibrating with it. I did. I picked up my phone, opened the call log, and turned the screen toward her. The first time, you didn't answer. The second time, you hung up. The cold light of the screen illuminated her face. That motherly anxiety froze instantly. She opened her mouth, seeming to want to explain something, but couldn't say a word. Makes sense. After all, your girl deserves to be happy forever. I slowly withdrew the phone, reciting the caption from her best friend's video word for word. Elena's pupils constricted sharply. I didn't give her time to react, continuing, Dar, Brooks, you look really good in that dress. Julian's friends have good taste, too. Matching you two with Marry You was quite fitting. My tone was flat, like discussing today's weather. But with every word, the color drained from her face. Also, you clearly took several days off, yet you tell me every day you're working overtime at the hospital. Who are you trying to fool? She looked at me, her lips trembling. Panic finally appeared in those eyes I had once been so obsessed with. You? How do you know? How do I know? I stood up and walked in front of her. I was a head taller than her, my shadow completely enveloping her. I lowered my head, leaned close to her ear, and asked in a voice only the two of us could hear. I just want to ask, when I called you the second time, and you hung up without hesitation, was Julian's hand on your waist or your shoulder? What nonsense are you talking about? Julian and I are innocent. That call, I just didn't hear it. Innocent? Didn't hear it. I chuckled softly and slid my phone across the coffee table to her. The screen was looping a high-definition video. In the video, she was laughing beautifully as she handed Julian a glass of wine. As she leaned forward slightly, her cleavage was revealed, and Julian's gaze lingered right there. Is it because you feel dirty yourself that you need to find so many excuses to wipe it clean? I slowly stood up straight, my 6'1" height bringing immense pressure. Elena, let me remind you we are married. I am your husband. Keeping a safe distance from your one that got away is the most basic respect for this marriage. Look at your reaction. I was right not to tell you. Julian and I have absolutely nothing going on. Nothing. I looked like I had heard the biggest joke in the world. When did Chicago General start a news service? The Overtime Project is throwing welcome parties for others. The lead surgeon has to personally accompany them drinking until they stay overnight at a hotel. Next time, can you just take the patients to a karaoke bar for a consultation? Caleb, how dare you humiliate me like this? I'm just stating facts. I picked up my own phone, unlocked it in front of her, and methodically scrolled through my contacts. How about this? Let's be fair. Tonight, I'll invite my college junior out for drinks to talk about life and dreams. She just got divorced recently and is in a bad mood. I need to keep her company. In case I drink too much, I might get a hotel room and stay the night too. I paused, looking up at her, my face devoid of warmth. Don't worry, I'll remember to remind you. Don't overthink it. We are innocent. Caleb, you dare. I sneered, my finger tapping gently on that junior's name, then stopping. Watch me. After that argument, which could only be described as a farce, Elena actually behaved herself for 2 days. She started coming home on time, took the initiative to bathe Lily and read her stories, and even miraculously did the dishes once. Watching her clumsy back in the kitchen, I once thought that my tough stance had worked and that our home was still salvageable. However, the good times didn't last long. On the 3rd day, she started coming home late again. On the 5th day, she stayed out all night again. The reasons were still the same unchanging excuses. The hospital is busy. There's a surgery department dinner. I didn't argue with her anymore, nor did I question her. Like an experienced farmer watching weeds sprout repeatedly in the field, I couldn't be bothered to pull them out one by one. I started calculating in my heart whether I should just plant in a different field altogether. That day, after I finished reading the bedtime story to Lily, the little girl hugged my neck and asked in her childish voice, "Daddy, why isn't Mommy back yet?" She promised to go to the sports day with Lily. My heart seized. The preschool's parent-child sports day was the day after tomorrow. The teacher had specifically emphasized that both parents needed to participate. I patted Lily's head, picked up my phone, found Elena on WhatsApp, and sent her a message. Lily's sports day is the day after tomorrow. You promised to go. Remember to come back early. A long time later, she replied with one word. Okay. I stared at that lonely okay with no ripples in my heart. The night before the sports day, the entryway remained empty. Lily ran out of her room again and again, standing on tiptoes to look at the door, and was disappointed again and again. Daddy, is Mommy lost? Is Mommy saving a very important patient? Does Mommy not want Lily anymore? A child's innocent words, yet every one of them was heartbreaking. At 10 p.m., Lily finally cried herself to exhaustion and fell asleep, sobbing in my arms. I carried her back to her room, tucked her in, and my phone screen lit up. It was a call from Elena. I walked to the balcony, closed the door, and answered. Hello, I can't come back tonight. Her voice was light, with faint music and noisy voices in the background. I didn't speak, waiting for her to continue. There's an emergency surgery at the hospital. I'm the lead surgeon. I can't leave. I'll probably be here all night. I'll go straight to the preschool tomorrow morning to find you guys. Surgery again. Chicago General has so many patients, so many that she, an attending physician, needs to live at the hospital every day. Understood. What's surgery? She paused noticeably on the other end, seemingly not expecting me to ask for details. An acute appendicitis perforation. The situation is quite complicated. Oh, then get busy. Drink less wine. Stay safe. Then, I hung up directly. I opened Facebook and habitually scrolled down. Then my finger stopped. One of Julian's friends, someone I had never added but whose posts I could see because of mutual friends, posted a video at 9:30 p.m. in a birthday VIP room. Lights were dazzling, and a group of people surrounded a huge cake. Julian sat in the center like the moon surrounded by stars, making a wish with a face full of smiles. And my wife, the Dr. Brooks, who should have been at the operating table saving a patient with acute appendicitis perforation, was standing right next to Julian. With a look of adoration, she was leading the birthday song, clapping harder than anyone else. Today she wore a white knit sweater, looking exceptionally gentle. That focused gaze, that bright smile. She was a completely different person from the wife in my memory who wore a white coat and saved lives. Expressionless, I took a screenshot. Less than 2 minutes later, when I refreshed, the post was gone. Deleted so fast. Too bad, too late. I looked at the screenshot on my phone. In the photo, Elena's head was leaning slightly toward Julian's shoulder, smiling happily. I suddenly felt like a fool, still doing my best to patch the holes in her clumsy lies. She wasn't doing surgery. She was celebrating the birthday of her God. I took a deep breath. The freezing air poured into my lungs, but couldn't suppress the fire churning at the bottom of my heart. I opened my phone's gallery and moved this fresh screenshot, along with the previous video screenshots, into a newly created folder. I named the folder very simply, Evidence. At the sports day check-in, other children were clinging to their parents' arms. Only Lily stood there holding the corner of my shirt with a bitter little face. The preschool broadcast played upbeat marching music over and over. I squatted down and adjusted the small number tag on her chest. Lily, are you ready? Daddy is going to help you win first place today. Lily nodded vigorously, but her big eyes couldn't hide her disappointment. Will Mommy come? I was silent for a moment, then patted her head. Mommy is fighting monsters. Let's race first. If we win the gold medal, she'll come. Lily and I took first place in the three-legged race. The little girl had a shiny plastic gold medal hanging around her neck and was invited by the teacher to speak on stage. She held the microphone, her small face flushed red, but her voice was loud and clear. I am very happy today. I want to tell Mommy the most. Next time you must come to keep me company. I miss you very much. There was a round of sympathetic applause from the audience. I stood in the crowd, looking at my daughter on stage, my heart feeling like it was blocked by something. A complete family is indeed very important to a child. Important enough that I need to endure all this? Just then, a familiar figure appeared at the venue entrance. Elena arrived long overdue, only catching the view of Lily's back as she left the stage. She was dressed very casually today. You couldn't see the fatigue of an overnight surgery, but her makeup was exquisite. Mommy! Lily saw her, and tears streamed down immediately. She ran over on her short legs, hugged Elena's thigh, and cried out of breath. Elena was somewhat flustered. She squatted down to hug Lily, coaxing her dryly. I walked over, my tone calm. Let's find a place to eat first. Buy Lily a gift to cheer her up. Elena agreed. In the restaurant, just as Lily's emotions had stabilized, Elena's phone rang. She glanced at the caller ID, her expression instantly becoming unnatural, and walked to the side with her phone. When she came back, her face wore an apology. "Okay, love, I'm sorry. There was a car accident patient at the hospital, massive hemorrhage, needs urgent surgery. I have to go back." Surgery again. Her surgeries were more punctual than DoorDash orders. I nodded without looking at her. "Understood. Go quickly then, the patient is important." She seemed not to expect me to be so agreeable. She paused, then hurriedly grabbed her bag, kissed Lily on the cheek, and turned to leave. Watching her retreating back, I took out my phone and dialed a number. "Hey Mike, are you busy?" Mike Ross was my college classmate, working in general surgery at Chicago General, right next to Elena's department. "Not busy, just got out of surgery." "What's up?" "Nothing, just asking. Did your hospital admit a car accident patient with massive hemorrhage?" "Heard from my wife, it's pretty serious." There was silence for 2 seconds on the other end. Mike's voice carried a trace of weirdness. "Quel accident?" "No. Besides, didn't Elena take leave today? I saw her leave request form this morning." "Oh, is that so?" I smiled. "Then maybe I heard wrong." "Caleb, something's off with you." Mike's gossip soul ignited. "Are you and Elena having trouble?" "I heard people in the department say she's been very close to that new guy from overseas, Julian Hayes, recently. They eat lunch together every day. You better watch out." He got angrier as he spoke. "Damn it, what is this nonsense?" "You wait. I'll keep an eye on them for you. If I see them being affectionate again, I'll take a picture right away." I hung up the phone, looked down at the dinner plate in front of me, and suddenly lost my appetite. Not long after I finished eating with Lily, my phone dinged. It was a photo sent by Mike. The background was a high-end steakhouse. Elena and Julian were leaning their heads together, looking at something on a phone, smiling brightly. Elena was still wearing the casual clothes from this morning. So her operating room was in a place like this. Lily in my arms suddenly started crying again, her small hand clutching my clothes, sobbing intermittently. She had accidentally seen it. "Daddy, Mommy is a bad person. Lily doesn't like Mommy anymore. I don't want her." I held my daughter, gently patting her back, unable to say a single word. On the phone screen, that piercing photo was still glowing. I casually saved it and put it into the folder named Evidence. I had just coaxed Lily to sleep when the phone on the nightstand vibrated abruptly. The caller ID was a strange number. My heart tightened inexplicably. My first reaction was that something happened to Elena. Ironically, as this thought flashed by, apart from shock, there wasn't a trace of panic in my heart. The call connected, and my mother-in-law's anxious and tearful voice came through. "Caleb, your daddy. He suddenly collapsed. He's at Chicago General now. Come quickly. I can't get through to Elena's phone no matter what." My brain buzzed. I immediately rolled out of bed. While changing clothes, I comforted her. "Mom, don't worry. Which department? I'll be right there." Arriving at the hospital, handling admission, running up and down, paying fees, and getting medicine, contacting doctors. By the time my father-in-law, Arthur, finally settled down in the hospital bed, it was already late at night. My mother-in-law, Martha, sat by the bed, eyes red, holding my hand, looking exhausted and guilty. "Caleb, you've worked hard again." "Elena, that child." Sigh. "I know things aren't right between you two lately. Please bear with it. Husband and wife should speak openly. Don't keep it bottled up inside." I nodded, not speaking. "Speak openly? About what? Ask her what brand of cologne Julian wears. Or ask whose bed she's tossing and turning in." Arthur woke up in the hospital bed, slowly opening his eyes. His clouded gaze fell on me. He waved at me, signaling me to come over. "Caleb, come here." His voice was weak, but his eyes were unusually clear. I leaned down. "Don't listen to her mother's nonsense." Arthur gasped for breath and continued. "Elena, that girl, is my own daughter. I know what kind of trouble she's about to cause before she even moves a muscle. She has weeds growing in her heart now. I know it." He paused, a look of guilt and determination revealing itself in his eyes. "Back at that intersection years ago, if you hadn't pushed my wife out of the way, the grass on her grave would be person high by now. The Brooks family owes you. If Elena really did something to wrong you, you don't need to worry about us. Do what needs to be done. I'll back you up on this. Lily, you must take good care of her." My nose stung and my eyes fell hot. In this family, there were still people who treated me like family. I nodded heavily. "Dad, don't worry. Coming out of the hospital, the cold wind blew, and I sobered up quite a bit." Driving to my parents' house to pick up Lily, Elena's call finally came through. As soon as I answered, her barrage of questions smashed into me. "Caleb, you are really something. You went behind my back to complain to my parents? I wondered why you were so agreeable. It turns out you were waiting for me here. How small is your mind? Is your heart black, so everything looks dirty to you?" She must have just arrived at the hospital. I could still hear Martha's voice in the background, trying to persuade her. Listening to her flustered roaring, I suddenly felt it was pointless. So in her heart, staying out all night and lying repeatedly weren't mistakes. Me making her lose face in front of her parents was the grave error. I'm not that bored. I replied faintly with 4 words, then cut the call directly. There is no point communicating with someone living in their own world. In the hospital, Elena held the disconnected phone, completely stunned. Beside her, Martha was so angry she was shedding tears. Look at you. You think you're in the right. A married woman staying away from home all the time. Who are you trying to fool? Arthur on the hospital bed was heaving with rage, his chest rising and falling violently. He pointed at Elena, his hand trembling. Didn't you say you were working overtime? Which department? Celebrating Julian's birthday is overtime too. Elena's face turned pale, her lips trembling. Dad, what are you talking about? I'm talking nonsense. Arthur sneered, grabbing the phone from the bedside table and dialing a number right in front of her. Hello, is this Chief Lewis? This is Elena's father. I need to trouble you for a favor. Send me a copy of Elena's attendance record for this month. Yes, I want it right now. I want to see just how much overtime our great DR Brooks has worked. The blood drained from Elena's face instantly. She lunged to grab the phone, her voice changing pitch. Dad, don't call. What are you doing? The more she tried to stop it, the lower Arthur and Martha's hearts sank. That hand reaching out was like a loud slap in the face, completely shattering all her precarious lies. After that day, Elena came back once. She didn't mention her father's hospitalization, nor did she ask about Lily. She just threw her bag onto the entryway cabinet and looked at me coldly. You complained to my parents. Are you satisfied now? I was sitting on the sofa, peeling an apple for Lily. I didn't even lift my eyelids. Your dad's health isn't good. Stop provoking him. If something happens to him, this family will really fall apart. She probably thought I was using her father to suppress her, and her face looked even worse. But in the end, she said nothing, turned, and went into the bedroom, slamming the door shut with a bang. For the next month or so, I effectively lived the life of a single parent. The number of times Elena came home could be counted on one hand. Every time she returned, she was like a tenant renting a room, saying she was either tired or sleepy. When I opened my mouth to say I wanted to have a good talk with her, she would pick up her phone or hide directly in the room, blocking my words in my throat. Her excuse for going out was always hospital overtime. Meanwhile, my phone continued to receive dozens of pieces of overtime hard evidence from Mike. Sometimes it was a high-end steakhouse, Elena resting her chin in her hands, smiling beamingly at Julian across from her. Mike would caption it, "Brother, tomahawk steak tonight. Your wife has a good appetite." Sometimes it was at a concert, heads leaning together, seemingly sharing the same pair of earbuds. Mike's comment was concise, high art, refined taste. I saved them one by one. The folder named evidence became fuller and fuller. That evening, Lily suddenly wouldn't stop crying and didn't eat a single bite of dinner. Hugging my neck, she called for Mommy over and over, crying until her little face turned purple, nearly choking. I coaxed her for a long time, used every method, but she still cried out of breath. I was really at my wit's end. Looking at my daughter, exhausted from crying in my arms, the string in my heart finally snapped. I grabbed the car keys, wrapped Lily in a thick coat, and went straight to Chicago General. Arriving at her department, the office door was ajar, warm light spilling out from inside. Holding Lily, I raised my hand to knock, but I heard Julian's voice from inside, carrying a teasing intimacy. You're just too strong-willed. Why didn't you tell me if something was wrong? Then came Elena's voice, very soft, with a trace of grievance difficult to detect. What's the use of telling you? My heart suffocated. Driven by some strange force, I gently pushed the door open. In the office, Elena had her back to the door and was hugging Julian. Julian's hand was on her back, patting gently, like comforting a wronged child. The scene was warm and harmonious. Hearing the door open, they jerked their heads around. Elena saw me and Lily in my arms. Her body stiffened, and she reflexively pushed Julian away. I said nothing, just looked at them silently, then gently closed the door. Excuse us. The door closed behind me, cutting off everything inside. I looked down at my daughter in my arms. She was also looking at me with red eyes, her small hand tightly gripping my clothes. Lily, I heard my voice sounding calm and unfamiliar. You might not have a mommy very soon. Lily seemed to understand, but not fully. She whispered, Daddy, why did Mommy hug that uncle? Does she not like Lily and not like Daddy anymore? More than a minute later, the office door opened, and Elena walked out quickly. Her face still carried the panic of being caught, but as soon as she spoke, it was a reprimand. Caleb, why didn't you knock before coming? I ignored her question, just looking at her coldly. She was a bit spooked by my stare, her eyes dodging for a second. An awkward expression squeezed onto her face as she began to explain. Don't misunderstand. There's nothing between Julian and me. Just now, there was something on the back of his collar. I was just helping him brush it off. This excuse was truly laughably clumsy. I chuckled softly. Right in front of her, I methodically took out my phone, opened the album named Evidence, and scrolled to the photo Mike sent this afternoon. In the photo, Elena and Julian were sitting by the window of a cafe. The afternoon sun shone on them. Elena had just scooped a piece of the cake in front of her with a spoon and was feeding it to Julian's mouth. I turned the phone screen toward her. My voice wasn't loud, but it was crystal clear. Is that so? What about this? Did he have something on his mouth too? Under the cold light of the phone screen, Elena's face turned from red to white, then from white to green. It was quite a sight. Before I could speak, Julian had already walked out of the office. He stood next to Elena, naturally placing his hand on her shoulder, adopting the posture of an owner. He looked at me, frowning slightly. Sir, before entering someone else's office, shouldn't you knock first? That's basic manners. Besides, Elena and I are just colleagues. Our relationship is innocent. As her husband, instead of being considerate of her hard work, you ran to the hospital to make a scene. That's hardly appropriate, is it? His words were watertight, claiming the moral high ground while washing his hands clean. Lily in my arms suddenly struggled. She pointed her small finger at Julian and shouted with a voice hoarse from crying. You are the bad uncle. Give my mommy back to me. The child's voice was sharp, exceptionally clear in the quiet corridor. Lily had seen the photos on my phone more than once. She knew that this was the man who kept mommy from coming home for days and from reading her stories. The composure on Julian's face cracked. Elena's face completely darkened. She abruptly shook off Julian's hand and walked quickly up to me. Anger burned in her eyes, not at me, but at the daughter in my arms. Lillian Miller, who taught you to speak like that? What nonsense are you spouting? She lowered her voice, but her words were full of reprimand. Immediately, she looked up, staring at me with burning eyes. Caleb, is this how you teach our daughter? Teaching her to stir up trouble and fabricate things? Learning to slander elders at such a young age? You are really something. Looking at her gaslighting face, I was so angry I laughed. I taught her, Elena, is your brain pickled in alcohol? She says what she sees. She sees what you do. You're still denying it. Elena's voice rose sharply. My calmness seemed to stimulate her. Immediately, take Lily and apologize to Julian. Apologize? I felt like I had heard the funniest joke of the century. Dr. Brooks, are you sure you don't have a fever and are talking nonsense? Apologize for what? For her mother shamelessly feeding another man cake. You. Elena was rendered speechless by my retort, her face flushing to the color of a pig's liver. She looked at Lily, who was trembling with fear in my arms. The humiliation and anger of having her lies punctured finally found an outlet. She abruptly reached out her hand, swinging it toward Lily's small face. I told you to stop talking nonsense. I'm going to teach you a lesson today. I was prepared. I turned sideways to dodge, shielding Lily at my side, and simultaneously reached out to grab her wrist. Her wrist was clamped by me, unable to move. Elena, are you crazy? My voice went cold. You did something wrong yourself, and you want to take it out on the child? I'm disciplining my daughter. It is justified. Since you can't teach her, then I will. Elena's chest heaved violently. Being humiliated by me in front of Julian made her angry out of shame, causing her to speak without thinking. Caleb, don't think I don't know what you're thinking. Isn't it just because you feel I made you lose face? So you instigated the child to slander me and cause a scene in my workplace. You just want to ruin my reputation. The more she spoke, the more she felt she was in the right, her voice becoming increasingly shrill. In Elena's beautiful eyes, there was now only twisted anger. Her raised palm swung toward Lily's face again without hesitation. The string in my heart called patience snapped instantly. Just a moment before her palm landed, I violently blocked Lily behind me, shielding her completely with my body. Elena's hand hit empty air. Due to inertia, she stumbled. Lily was scared into trembling all over, her crying changing pitch. I quickly turned to hug my daughter, gently patting her back. From this moment on, I knew what decision to make. The things in my hand might not prove they rolled into the same bed. But for a divorce and custody of a daughter, it was enough. Lillian Miller, you come here. Smack! A crisp sound exploded in the quiet corridor. Time stopped. Elena covered her face, completely stunned, her eyes filled with disbelief. The surroundings suddenly went quiet. Passing nurses and doctors poking their heads out from neighboring departments. Everyone's eyes gathered here, shining on the three of us like searchlights. Some who knew Elena showed complex expressions, and whispering began. Isn't that Dr. Brooks' husband, Caleb? He looks so gentle usually. How could he hit someone? Didn't you see? Dr. Brooks wanted to hit the child. He was protecting her. Besides, that slap just now, TSK was really loud. I said something was off with those two. Eating lunch together every day. 2 days ago, I saw Dr. Hayes sending flowers to Dr. Brooks. Keep it down. This is a big mess now. Even the department chief will probably be alarmed. These voices, every word like a red-hot needle, stabbed fiercely into Elena's face. Her professional image, which she took pride in, was being torn to shreds in the place she knew best. I shook my slightly numb palm, staring at her, speaking word by word. Elena, since Julian returned to the country, do you have no idea what you've done? A married woman, staying out all night, every day, being affectionate with another man outside. You didn't answer the phone when your daughter had a fever of 102.5. When your own father was hospitalized, you said it was my fault. Now, you still want to hit my daughter? I took a step forward. Did you really think I had no temper? You dare to hit me? She covered her face, her voice trembling. Standing aside, Julian finally reacted. His refined face turned beet red. He shouted angrily and came to grab my collar. What kind of man are you, actually hitting a woman? I didn't dodge. The moment his hand touched my collar, I raised my leg and kicked, landing squarely on his stomach. Julian's fragile body flew out like a broken sack, bowing at the waist. He hit the wall 2 meters away and slid to the floor, unable to get up for a long time. A sound of gasping filled the corridor. Caleb, are you crazy? Elena screamed and ran toward Julian, wanted to help him up. The look she gave me when she turned back was full of hatred, yet her mouth was still making excuses. Julian and I are innocent. We didn't do anything. Don't you dare spit blood on people. Innocent. I laughed in anger at her unrepentant appearance. Walking straight and sitting upright? Then tell me, at Julian's birthday party last night, what wish did you make? When you sang happy birthday to him, you stood closer than his own mother. Was that innocent too? If Julian's father died and you went to the funeral, would you have to cry over the grave to show your innocence? My words were crude and ugly. Elena's face alternated between red and white. The surrounding murmurs grew louder. I said she and that Dr. Hayes were weird. TSK, with such a good husband at home, she's still not satisfied. Look how scared the child is. She subconsciously looked at Julian on the ground, expecting him to stand up and back her up. But Julian just curled up in the corner against the wall, one hand covering his stomach, the other bracing against the floor. His face had turned purple, and he was gasping for air, unable to say a complete sentence. That pathetic appearance held not a shred of the demeanor of an overseas elite. Elena's defenses completely collapsed. She pointed at me, her voice shrill. Caleb, Julian and I are just ordinary colleagues, innocent and clean. You actually slandered me. I want a divorce. I can't live like this for another day. Fine. I looked at her calmly and spat out one word. Since we're divorcing, let's make things clear. Let your colleagues judge properly and see just how innocent you, the great Dr. Brooks, really are. As soon as my voice fell, the corridor exploded. The curious doctors and nurses, the onlookers and patients' families, the murmuring buzzed like flies. Gazes fell on Elena's pale face, curious, disdainful, and some with a bit of schadenfreude. An older head nurse couldn't watch anymore and came over to persuade me. Caleb, this is a hospital. Speak nicely if you have something to say. Don't make a scene here. It affects the patient's rest. Immediately following, 2 security guards rushed over, holding rubber batons. One of them, whom I knew, shouted at me. Caleb, what are you doing? Leave immediately, or we'll call the police. I ignored them, my eyes locked on Elena. From the backpack I carried, which held Lily's water bottle and snacks, I pulled out a thick manila envelope, raised my hand, and threw it. Dozens of printed photos fell like snowflakes, fluttering all over Elena's head and face, falling at her feet. Before this, I didn't want to make it known to everyone, but since she was unrepentant, I didn't need to save her any face. These were meant to be evidence. Judge? Sure. I bent down and picked up one, holding it before her eyes. June 3rd, Julian returned to the country. You lied to me, saying it was a department dinner. This one is the welcome party you threw for him. You smiled so sweetly. I let go, and the photo drifted to the floor. I picked up another. July 5th, Lily's preschool parent-child sports day. You said the hospital had an emergency surgery. This one is you having a candlelight dinner with him at a steakhouse. The photo fell again. July 20th, Julian's birthday. You said you had surgery again. This one is in the VIP room at the Golden Splendor. You leading the singing of happy birthday to him. I picked them up one by one and threw them one by one. Wedding anniversary. You said you're on duty. Weekend. You said you had an academic conference. Elena, can you even remember the lies you told? Finally, I pulled the last sheet of paper from the envelope. It was a copy of Elena's attendance record for this month that Mike had gotten someone to obtain. I slammed it onto the pile of photos. Open your eyes and look clearly. It's full of your leave records. Tell me, which operating room were you working overtime in? Was the lead surgeon Julian? Julian's refined face had long turned the color of pig liver. He probably felt his dignity had fallen to the ground along with those photos. He roared, lunging like a madman to grab the things on the floor. You're spitting blood. I was prepared. I sidestepped, and my right foot kicked right into the back of his knee. He screamed, ow, and knelt on one knee. Before he could react, I raised my leg for a clean whip kick, landing solidly on his ribs. Julian flew out sideways like a kicked shrimp, 2 meters away, hitting the wall, groaning, unable to get up again. I shook my leg and smiled at the dumbfounded security guards. Then I explained calmly, I was on a high school track team and practiced kickboxing for a few days. It's enough to deal with this weak chicken who can't even trust a chicken. The 2 security guards looked at each other, but their eyes held a bit more sympathy for me. They came up and held my arms left and right but didn't use much force. It looked more like they were protecting me. Several hospital administrators arrived upon hearing the news, scolding me and telling me not to blow things up. I couldn't be bothered to waste words with them. I took out my phone directly and dialed 911 in front of everyone. Hello, police. I want to report a crime. Chicago General, outpatient 3rd floor. Someone is having an affair and tried to hit a child. Now I've hit him. Yes, please come handle it. In the shocked gazes of the crowd, I took out the last document from the innermost layer of my backpack and threw it onto the soul-lost Elena. I've already signed the divorce papers. I looked at her, my voice not loud, but loud enough for everyone around to hear clearly. Lily stays with me. You are unfit. I stayed at the police station for 24 hours. Julian's injury assessment was minor. It didn't constitute criminal liability. I paid $1,000, signed a settlement agreement, and the matter was considered over. My dad's car was parked across the street, hazard lights blinking on and off. He hadn't slept all night. His eyes were bloodshot. Seeing me come out, he didn't say a word. He got out of the car, fished a pack of cigarettes from his pocket, handed me one, and lit it for me. I took a hard drag. The smoke choked me into coughing repeatedly, bringing tears to my eyes. Dad, where are Mom and Lily? They're at home, just want to sleep. Dad lit one for himself, his voice raspy like it had been sanded. Yesterday your mom and I went to the hospital. That scene. We heard everything from people. Later, your father-in-law also called me. I was somewhat surprised. What did he say? What could he say? Dad blew out a heavy smoke ring, the wrinkles on his forehead deep enough to trap a mosquito. He kept apologizing, saying he let you down, let the Miller family down. Said he couldn't control that girl Elena anymore, and our family should do whatever needs to be done. He had no objections. He threw the cigarette, but on the ground, and crushed it hard with his toe. This divorce must happen. The heaviest stone in my heart finally hit the ground. Returning to the home Elena and I shared, I pushed open the door. The house was empty and cold. The air still held the scent of that sweet perfume on her body, smelling sickening. Just as well, I found a few suitcases from the storage room and started packing. First was Lily's stuff. Her little clothes, little skirts, folded and categorized one by one. The rabbit plushie she liked best, the picture book she had to hug to fall asleep, and those crooked family portraits she drew. I picked up one drawing. It showed a little person with pigtails holding hands with a tall daddy and a pretty mommy, all 3 grinning. My chest felt blocked by something, stiflingly panicked. Then my stuff. Not much. A few changes of clothes, some books, a laptop. Packed in moments. After packing everything, I took the divorce agreement I had prepared long ago out of my briefcase and placed it in the most conspicuous spot on the living room coffee table. On it, my name was signed clearly. I dragged several large suitcases, took one last look at this place I once called home, without a shred of nostalgia, turned and closed the door. After moving things to my parents' house and settling in, I called my college senior, Rachel Vance. She is now a famous divorce lawyer in the city. As soon as the call connected, her brisk laughter came through. Well, the talented Caleb Miller. What wind blew you here? Judging by your tone, It doesn't sound like you struck it rich, but rather like you got into trouble. Sort of. I gave a bitter smile. I beat up my wife and her lover. Just got out of the station. There was silence for 2 seconds on Rachel's end, and her voice immediately became serious. Send me the address. I'll come find you. No. Come directly to my firm. This can't be explained clearly over the phone. In Rachel's office, I sent her the folder named Evidence, along with all the photos and videos inside. She wore gold-rimmed glasses, reading quickly, her fingers clicking the mouse rapidly, scrolling through one by one. The expression on her face changed from relaxed to solemn. Is this evidence enough? I asked. Enough. Rachel looked up, raising an eyebrow. More than enough. With what you have here, the fact of her infidelity within the marriage is set in stone. And since your profession is, special, the court will definitely lean toward you when ruling on custody. Plus, she has a record of trying to hit the child in front of everyone. She doesn't have a sliver of a chance for Lily's custody. She leaned back in her chair, a sharpness revealing itself in her eyes behind the lenses. As for property division, what's the situation with your marital assets? I bought the house with full payment before the marriage. The car is registered in her name. Our finances are independent. Savings. I have about a few $100,000 on my side. Her side, I don't know. Okay, understood. Rachel nodded, the corner of her mouth hooking into a professional, cold sneer. If she signs quickly and agrees to an uncontested divorce, that's best. If she doesn't sign and wants to fight a lawsuit, I guarantee she won't take a single dime from you other than that broken car she bought herself. With her words, I felt completely reassured. The farce at the hospital was ultimately categorized as a medical disturbance and settled quietly. But privately, the entire Chicago General had long been gossiping. In the break room, the cafeteria, the duty room, wherever there were people, there were rumors about Dr. Brooks from cardiology and the new Dr. Hayes. Elena naturally heard them too. She locked herself in the guest room of her best friend Sarah Jenkins's house for a whole day. Sarah worked in the ultrasound department at the hospital and was her best friend. When Sarah pushed the door open, Elena was sitting on the carpet with 2 empty wine bottles in front of her. Caleb is crazy. He's a lunatic. Seeing Sarah, Elena's eyes instantly turned red. She grabbed Sarah's arm like clutching the last straw. He hit me at the hospital, in front of so many colleagues. He even instigated Lily to slander me. How could he treat me like this? She loudly accused me of my crimes, saying I didn't trust her, saying I made her lose face in front of her parents and colleagues, saying I was narrow-minded and making a fuss over nothing. Sarah just listened quietly, neither interrupting nor agreeing. When Elena cried out of breath and was tired of talking, Sarah handed her a glass of warm water and asked faintly, "Finished?" Elena froze, nodding while sobbing. "Then let me ask you one thing." Sarah looked into her eyes. "What exactly are you thinking?" "Thinking about what?" Elena didn't react. Sarah bluntly clarified. "Are you planning to divorce Caleb and fly away with Julian? Or do you plan to cut ties with Julian completely and go home to live properly?" Elena's crying stopped abruptly. She probably didn't expect that coming for comfort would result in such a question. She opened her mouth, squeezing out a sentence after a long time. "Julian and I, we are innocent." Sarah suddenly laughed, a laugh carrying indescribable mockery. "Elena, it's fine if you lie to others, but lying to yourself? Tell me, what kind of innocent colleague requires you to lie about surgery just to go celebrate his birthday? What kind of innocent colleague puts their heads together while eating, the spoon practically feeding in their mouth? What kind of innocent colleague can make you abandon your husband and child with one phone call and run over eagerly?" With every sentence Sarah spoke, Elena's face paled a shade. "Last month, how many days did you go home? How many overtime shifts did you tell Caleb you worked? Do you really think I'm stupid and wouldn't check the shift schedule?" Sarah stood up, looking down at her. "You enjoy Julian's on-call concern on one hand, and on the other hand, you want Caleb to be your workhorse at home, taking care of the child for you, and unconditionally forgiving all your lies. Elena, are you not awake yet? Or do you think all men in the world owe you? I want to talk to you before, but felt it was between husband and wife, and inappropriate for an outsider to butt in. But look at yourself now. You barely recognize yourself anymore, do you?" Sarah pointed toward the door. "You don't believe me? Fine, go back to the hospital right now. Grab any random colleague and ask them, from the hospital directors to the cleaning ladies. Ask if they believe the great Dr. Brooks and Julian have an innocent, ordinary colleague relationship." "I don't." Elena's voice grew weak, lacking confidence. "You don't." Sarah laughed in anger. "If you don't, why would Caleb cause a scene at the hospital? He's a tech guy, a respectable person. If he wasn't pushed to the limit by you, would he do something like that?" Elena was completely speechless. She slumped on the carpet, her eyes empty. She came to Sarah looking for an ally to scold her unromantic husband together. Instead, Sarah tore her proud disguise completely clean. Looking at her lost soul appearance, Sarah sighed and handed over the final knife. I heard Caleb has already given you the divorce agreement. To be fair, he's done his duty. These past few months, swapping any other man who knows his wife is being shady with another man every day and ignoring her sick child, he would have slapped you long ago. The person who destroyed this home isn't him. Sarah slammed the water glass down in front of her. The bottom of the glass hit the coffee table with a dull thud. What exactly attracted you to Julian? Elena, touch your conscience and speak. Where has Caleb treated you badly? Sarah's voice wasn't loud, but every word was clear. Don't talk about Caleb not believing you and Julian are innocent. Even me, I don't believe it. Elena suddenly looked up, forgetting to let the tears fall. But I really didn't sleep with Julian. Is there a difference? Sarah sneered. Who believes that? Elena couldn't believe it. Sarah was her best friend, the harbor she came to for comfort. But at this moment, the look Sarah gave her was complete strangeness and scrutiny. You feel wronged? The whole hospital is spreading it, saying your daughter had a high fever and you stayed out all night, throwing a welcome party for your innocent colleague. Your daughter looked forward to you coming to the sports day for days, and you turn around to spend his birthday with him. Elena, listen what you've done. Does it sound like a mother? Like a wife? If Caleb were a bit more cowardly, this cuckold hat would have been firmly planted. Him causing a scene at the hospital and hitting people, you forced that? I heard he caught you hugging Julian. Elena, you forced a respectable man into a lunatic screaming in a hospital corridor, and you still have the face to cry. Sarah's words embarrassed her even more than Caleb's slap. She suddenly felt cold all over, not knowing where to put her hands and feet. She ran out of Sarah's house, like a lonely ghost, walking aimlessly on the streets late at night. The cold wind blew, and she realized belatedly that she hadn't even brought her phone. Her mind was messy, filled with Sarah's words. You enjoy Julian's ambiguity and concern on one hand, while wanting Caleb to be your workhorse at home. Was it like that? She remembered that every time she made up her mind to go home early to accompany Lily, Julian's call would come neither too early nor too late, either saying there was a problem with a project or saying he was in a bad mood and wanted someone to talk to. And every time, seemingly possessed, she went. She remembered that divorce agreement. When she received it, she tore it up without looking. What she thought then was, why does Caleb get to propose divorce? Whether this family breaks up or not should be my say. But thinking about it now, that was more like a guilty, fierce but weak struggle. She remembered the hospital corridor again, Caleb protecting Lily behind him, and the slap she raised. The look Lily gave her then was fear. Her daughter was afraid of her. This realization caused a wrenching pain in her chest. Finally, the image froze on the moment Caleb kicked Julian flying. What was her reaction then? She rushed up, wanted to scratch Caleb's face, screaming for him to stop. If the head nurse hadn't held her back firmly, she might truly have fought her own husband. For another man, Elena's footsteps stopped. She stood under a street lamp, the light stretching her shadow long and thin. She finally had to admit Sarah was right. The person who destroyed this home wasn't Caleb. It was herself. A belated panic seized her. She started running toward home, stumbling, twisting her high heel. She wanted to go home. She needed to go home. She wanted to explain to Caleb that she really had nothing with Julian. They hadn't slept together. She was just momentarily confused. She would never do it again. She still had a chance, definitely. Gasping for air, she opened the door with her key. Caleb? Lily? The house was pitch black. No one answered. She fumbled to turn on the entryway light. The light poured down. The living room was empty. Lily's toy storage box was gone. The pairs of shoes Caleb usually wore were gone from the cabinet. On the coffee table lay a document quietly. It was that divorce agreement again. Next to it, weighted down, was a sticky note. It was Caleb's handwriting, lean, hard, sharp. I'm leaving the house and everything inside to you. The car was yours anyway. I only want Lily. Also, don't come looking for us again. She picked it up, put it down, read it back and forth several times, finally confirming she hadn't misread it. She once told me I was the most stubborn person she had ever met. Once a decision was made, 9 oxen couldn't pull me back. She said it laughingly then, treating it as a lover's joke. Unexpectedly, it became a prophecy. Starting from that welcome party, the first lie she told was like pushing over the first domino. From initial fear and careful explanation to later lying almost instinctively, she suddenly felt the house wasn't right. It was panic-inducingly empty. She rushed into Lily's room. The wardrobe door was open. More than half the clothes inside were gone. The pajamas Lily liked best, the little socks she changed daily, all gone. The teddy bear on the bed that had piled up from Lily hugging it, gone. Only a few expensive princess dresses she had bought on a whim, which Lily had only worn once or twice, hung there lonely. She rushed into the master bedroom again, pulled open the closet. Caleb's half was also missing things. He only took his daily clothes. Those designer suits and ties she bought for him hadn't been touched, hanging neatly as if mocking her silently. At this moment, a sharp fear seized her. She rummaged through the room like a crazy person, wanted to find her phone, but remembered she brought nothing when running out of Sarah's house. She threw herself into the living room, picked up the landline receiver, and dialed Sarah's number with trembling fingers. "Sarah, bring my phone over quickly. Hurry." Sarah lived nearby and arrived in 10 minutes. Seeing Elena's panic-stricken state, she said nothing, just handed her the phone. Elena snatched the phone, unlocked it. The moment the screen lit up, she impatiently opened her contacts, found my name, and dialed. The cold, mechanical female voice came from the receiver. "Hello, the number you dialed is no longer in service." "Not in service." He canceled his phone number. Elena's hand shook, almost dropping the phone. Unwilling to give up, she opened WhatsApp and sent me a message. "Caleb, come back, let's talk." A red exclamation mark stung her eyes. He had deleted her. Her last hope fell on her daughter's phone watch. She dialed Lily's number with shaking hands. The beep, beep, waiting tone came from the receiver. No answer. She dialed again and again until the prompt "no answer," transferring to voicemail, came. The phone slid from her weak hand, hitting the carpet, screen going dark. Elena slumped on the floor, finally unable to hold back, hugging Sarah, who hadn't left yet, and wailed. In that cry, there was no more grievance or accusation, only pure despair of being abandoned. "He doesn't want me anymore. Sarah, he really doesn't want me anymore. Even Lily. Lily doesn't want me either." Watching her like this, the anger in Sarah's heart dissipated, leaving only exhaustion. She bent down to pick up the phone and shoved it back into Elena's hand. What's the use of crying? Did Caleb vanish into thin air? Can crime bring him back? Elena lifted tear-filled eyes, choking, unable to speak. He's a living person. Can he fly into the sky or burrow into the earth? His parents' house, the place he grew up, don't you know where it is? Sarah's voice was cold and hard. You going over there looking like this ghost? Do you want to fight him again? Or do you want Lily to see how pathetic her mom is? Sarah paused, her tone softening slightly. Elena, think clearly yourself. First, you and Julian must cut ties cleanly. If Caleb sees you having any involvement with him again, don't blame Caleb for being ruthless. Otherwise, just sign the divorce agreement directly. Don't let the couple lose their last bit of face. Second, think it through before finding him. Understand exactly where you went wrong before apologizing. Otherwise, going now is just adding fuel to the fire. It's useless. Sarah's words were like a basin of ice water poured over her head. Elena's crying gradually stopped. She looked at Sarah, lips moving, wanting to say something, but found she had nothing to say. Sarah sighed and patted her shoulder. I'm leaving. Calm down yourself. She really shouldn't get too involved in this kind of family affair. After the door closed, only Elena was left in the house again. She clutched the phone like holding onto a lifeline. She thought for a long time, finally dialing her parents' home. The phone rang for a long time before being picked up. It was her mom. Hello. Mom. As soon as Elena spoke, her voice carried a sob. There was silence for a second on the other end, followed by her father's roar. You still have the face to call back. The Brooks family's face has been completely lost by you. In the background, her mother was whispering persuasion. Arthur, let her speak, let her finish. Say what? What is there to say? Letting your husband block you at the hospital. Raising a shameless thing like you. I have nowhere to put my old face. Her father's scolding got uglier and uglier. Elena held the receiver, her hand shaking violently. Dad, I really have nothing with Julian. She argued urgently. We didn't sleep together. You dare talk back. Arthur. Her mother grabbed the phone, her voice full of exhaustion and disappointment. Elena, tell Mom the truth. Is what your dad scolded just now true? I didn't have sex with him. Really, I didn't. I was just momentarily confused. This was her last bottom line, and her only remaining dignity. There was a long silence on the other end. After a long time, her mother spoke, voice raspy. Then what do you want to do now? I want to find Caleb. I want to apologize to Lily. I want to beg him. Don't bother. Her father's voice cut in again, this time with a complete discouragement. Elena, listen. Any man pushed to this point by you won't look back. Don't go embarrassing yourself anymore. Honestly sign that agreement, and save yourself some face. What nonsense are you talking about? Her mother's voice grew sharp. Elena, don't listen to your dad. You did wrong, so you should admit your mistake. Lower your attitude. Apologize sincerely. Even if you really have to divorce, you have to make things clear. You can't let him leave with a misunderstanding, nor let the misunderstanding grow. The phone hung up. The room was deathly silent. Her father's words made her feel like she had fallen into an ice cave. Her mother's words, however, were like a weak flame igniting in her heart. Go or not go. Sign or not sign. Elena sat on the cold floor, looking at the thin agreement on the coffee table, feeling so lost and helpless for the first time. She knew this might be her last chance. If she couldn't even grasp this chance, she didn't dare to think further. The next afternoon, Elena came to my parents' house. In the old family housing complex, there were no secrets between neighbors. She wore a plain dress, hair tied back properly, no makeup on her face, eyes red. Standing at the courtyard gate, she really did look somewhat pitiful. It was my mom who opened the door. Seeing it was her, the little smile on my mom's face retracted immediately, blocking the doorway, not letting her in. Mom, Elena started, voice choking up. Hearing the noise, my dad also walked out from the living room, holding a palm leaf fan, standing next to my mom like a mountain. Caleb isn't here. My dad's voice was heavy, betraying no emotion. Elena's tears surged out instantly, streaming down her cheeks. Dad, Mom, I know I was wrong. I was really momentarily confused. I beg you, let me see Lily. Let me explain clearly to Caleb. Saying this, she tried to squeeze into the house. My mom reached out, stopping her neither lightly nor heavily. Elena, if you have business, talk to Caleb. We old folks can't manage you young people's affairs. Lily probably heard her mother's voice and poked her little head out from behind my mom, looking at her timidly. Lily. Elena looked like she saw a savior, eyes lighting up. She squatted down, trying to pull Lily's hand. Lily, it's Mommy. Mommy came to see you. Lily shrank back, hiding behind my mom's legs, whispering, Mommy, don't be with that bad uncle anymore in the future. A child's words are the most direct. That bad uncle makes you not come to my parent-teacher meetings and not celebrate my birthday. Lily counted on her fingers one by one. Grandma says good mommies don't do that. Elena squatted there, her whole body frozen. Everything Lily said was like a small hammer, not heavy, but hitting her heart densely. She only now clearly realized just how much she had missed. Those trivial matters she thought were unimportant were actually such big things in the child's heart. I was wrong. Lily, Mommy was really wrong. Elena couldn't hold up anymore. Her knees went soft, and with a thud, she knelt on the concrete floor of the courtyard. Her knees hit the ground with a dull sound. Dad, Mom, I beg you, give me one more chance. Julian and I really have nothing. We didn't get to that step. Everything is still salvageable. She cried heartbreakingly, causing several passing neighbors to stop and point from afar. My dad's face was ugly to the extreme. Just then, I drove in from the alley entrance. I saw Elena kneeling at the gate at a glance, along with my parents' embarrassed faces and my daughter hiding behind Grandma, overwhelmed. What a scene. My gaze went past her, landing under the old locust tree at the alley corner not far away. A black sedan was parked there. I remembered the license plate clearly. It was Julian's. He probably felt parking at the door was too conspicuous and specially chose a spot he thought was hidden. So they came as a team. I parked the car and got out. Seeing me, Elena looked like she saw the light, crying and trying to crawl over to pull me. Caleb, listen to my explanation. Get up. My voice was calm. Stop acting here. The neighbors are watching. It's embarrassing. She looked at me blankly, tears still hanging on her eyelashes. Go back. I looked at her, too lazy to even have extra anger. Attorney Vance has already emailed the divorce agreement to you. The house and everything inside are yours. The car is yours too. I paused, articulating every word clearly. I must have custody of Lily. Elena struggled to stand up. Her knees were scraped, but ignoring the pain, she stumbled to throw herself onto me. I turned sideways, avoiding her. She lost her balance and fell heavily on the concrete beside me, palms supporting her on the ground, scratching out several bloody streaks. Caleb. Just then, an expected voice came from the alley corner. Julian rushed over quickly, helping Elena up, cursing, Are you even a fucking man? Elena is humbling herself like this, and she's hurt, and you're this cold-blooded? My parents' faces instantly turned iron blue. The neighbors' pointing became louder. Seeing Julian appear, Elena completely panicked. She knew very well that Julian showing up at this moment meant all her previous efforts were wasted. Including her parents' side, she couldn't explain it away anymore. Ignoring the pain in her hands, she backhanded a slap onto Julian's face. Smack! This slap stunned Julian. Why did you come? Elena cried hysterically. Did I ask you to come? Coming out at this time? Are you trying to kill me? Julian covered his face, looking incredulous. Elena, are you crazy? I'm doing this for your own good. For my own good? Elena's voice was shrill. Go. Leave immediately. Don't appear in front of me again. I won't go. Julian glared at me. Caleb, you don't deserve Elena treating you like this. I suddenly laughed, the kind of laugh from extreme anger. I raised my foot, intending to step forward, but Elena hurriedly blocked in front of Julian, spreading her arms to protect him. Don't. In this moment, the courtyard was so quiet only the wind could be heard. I stopped my steps, looking at her coldly. She froze too, looking down at her spread arms, unable to believe she would make such a move. This was more convincing than any evidence. Mommy, Lily cried, wanted to rush out but was held tight by my mom. Dad, Mom, take Lily inside. My voice was calm. This scene wasn't suitable for a child. Dad, Mom, take Lily inside, I said without looking back. My dad walked over, glanced at Elena kneeling on the ground, then at Julian standing aside helplessly, and shook his head. Caleb, don't get physical. Neighbors are watching. My mom picked up Lily, coaxing softly. Lily, be good. Go inside with Grandma to watch TV. Lily lay on Grandma's shoulder, asking softly, Grandma, why is Mommy kneeling? Did Mommy do something wrong? Adult business, kids don't worry about it. My mom hurriedly took Lily inside. Hearing her daughter's words, Elena cried even harder. She let go of my leg, shouting toward the house. Lily, tell Daddy. Mommy will accompany you in the future. Mommy will never leave you again. The door closed. Only the three of us were left in the courtyard. Elena knelt on the ground, hugging my leg, not letting go. Caleb, I beg you, give me one more chance. I promise. I really didn't have anything with Julian. I didn't sleep with him. I swear. I will definitely prioritize family in the future. Take good care of Lily. I will never. I looked down at her. Done acting? Caleb, I'm not acting. I'm sincere. Sincere? I pointed at Julian still standing at the alley entrance. Then what is he? How many portions is your sincerity divided into? Elena looked where I pointed. Julian was standing there, a slap mark still on his face, eyes full of anger and unwillingness. I'll make him leave. I'll make him leave right now. Elena struggled to stand up, running toward Julian. I didn't stop her, just watched quietly. Actually, even if Julian hadn't appeared today, she was already sentenced to death in my book. What's more, now he appeared again. I remembered the call her parents made to me last night, saying Elena had completely cut ties with Julian, begging me to talk to her properly, even if we divorced, to clear the air first. Looking at it now, there was no need. Elena didn't get my forgiveness and started her stalking tactics. On my way to work, her car would suddenly rush out from a corner, forcing me to stop. Coming home from work, she squatted downstairs at my company, waiting for hours. Even picking up Lily from school, she would arrive at the preschool gate early. Caleb, listen to me, okay? She blocked my path, eyes red and swollen. I promise this is the last time. You say it's the last time every time. I walked around her, continuing forward. Julian has been fired. She shouted behind me. I reported him. I reported his malpractice at the clinic. He can't even keep his medical license now. I stopped and looked back at her. I broke it off with him cleanly, really. Her eyes flashed with a certain near-crazy light. To prove it to you, I ruined him. Don't you believe my determination now? When we got married, at the wedding, you also took a vow. I looked at her calmly. You promised to keep your word. Did you? Elena opened her mouth, unable to speak. Let's part on good terms. Don't make it too ugly. I turned and left. But she wouldn't give up. She had the divorce agreement for 3 months, but she wouldn't sign it. Every time Attorney Vance pressed her, she had a new reason. Today she said she needed to think more. Tomorrow she said she wanted to talk to me face to face. The day after she said the child was still small and couldn't be without a complete family. She insists she didn't have sexual relations with Julian Hayes, so it hasn't reached an irreversible point. Rachel said helplessly on the phone, Caleb, looks like we have to go through litigation. I was silent for a long time. Litigation, divorce, meant laying all the ugly business out in court, clarifying everything item by item in front of the judge and clerk. This wasn't glorious for anyone. I know you don't want to make a scene in court. Rachel's voice was gentle. But if she doesn't sign, and you can't get past the hurdle in your heart, this is the only step to get liberated sooner. Fine, I said, prepare the materials. In court, I presented the evidence one by one. Not just photos and videos, but also chat logs. Those chat logs were sent to me by Julian, who had nothing left to lose. Knowing Elena reported him and he couldn't keep his medical license, he simply sent me all the chat logs, just wanting me and Elena to divorce thoroughly. Getting to this step, divorce was certain, so it didn't matter anymore. This is $75,000 the defendant transferred from our joint family account for the third party, Julian Hayes. I handed the bank statements to the judge. $50,000 of it was funds she advanced for Julian's private clinic, without discussing it with me at all. Another $25,000 was for their entertainment expenses. That welcome party alone cost several thousand. Elena sat in the defendant's seat, face pale. I didn't discover these before. Recently, when paying tuition and signing up for hobby classes for our daughter, the card was declined. Only then did I find out the account was hollowed out. I continued, "These are irrefutable proofs." The judge flipped through the bank statements, frowning deeply. Also, from my daughter's birth until now, I've been responsible for caretaking. I took out a thick stack of materials. Here are testimonies from preschool teachers, hospital records, and neighbor statements. Ms. Brooks rarely came home because she was busy dating the third party, let alone taking care of the child. Elena's lawyer wanted to refute, but the evidence was solid, leaving no opening. Your Honor, my client admits that during the marriage, she did have inappropriate contact with Julian Hayes, but she firmly denies having substantial extramarital behavior. Substantial? I sneered. Is $75,000 not substantial enough? Elena cried heart-wrenchingly in the defendant's seat, tears falling in strings, not even caring to wipe her nose. Your Honor, I know I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. She stood up, hands clasped together. I beg you to give me one last chance. I promise to live properly in the future and never make this mistake again. The judge frowned, looking at her, then at me. Caleb, I beg you, for Lily's sake, let's start over, okay? Elena turned to me, eyes swollen like peaches. I can write a guarantee. I can swear if I do it again, I'll end it all. In the gallery, several older women whispered. This woman crying is quite pitiful. Pitiful for what? Is cheating justified? The judge banged the gavel. Order. Defendant, please sit down. Elena wouldn't sit, kneeling in the courtroom. Your Honor, I really didn't have sex with Julian. We were just ambiguous. I was confused for a moment, but I didn't betray the essence of the marriage. She cried harder, voice cracking. If you grant the divorce, I have no way to live. I'll just hit my head and die right here. Elena suddenly stood up, pretending to rush at the wall. Gasps came from the gallery. The bailiff quickly stopped her. The judge had a massive headache. Check the time. Court is in recess for 15 minutes. This recess lasted an hour. The judge called me into the mediation room alone, the still small. Ms. Brooks indeed didn't have sexual relations with a third party, as long as she sincerely repents. Your Honor, do you think a woman who can hollow out the family savings for another man is credible? I interrupted her. $75,000 is not a small amount. She gave it to someone else without blinking. The judge sighed, but she really recognizes her mistake now. Recognize her mistake? I sneered. If she really recognized her mistake, she would have signed 3 months ago, instead of waiting until court to play the victim. Seeing my resolute attitude, the judge had to go persuade Elena. An older, experienced female judge couldn't watch anymore and went to the mediation room. She talked with Elena for a long time. Elena cried messily inside. I could hear her sobbing from outside. Ms. Brooks, you say you realize your mistake and have the determination to salvage it. That's good. The female judge's voice was gentle. But since this relationship has problems, let in first. Elena looked up, looking at her through teary eyes. After ending this failed relationship, you can start over. The female judge continued. Win your husband and daughter back. With the daughter there, that's the bond. Visitation rights are certain. You still have a chance to repair the relationship. But Elena wanted to say something. Think about it. Staying deadlocked like this benefits no one. The female judge guided patiently. Rather than both suffering, better to end this wrong relationship first and welcome a new beginning. Elena was silent for a long time. Half an hour later, the female judge came out, face looking tired. Mr. Miller, I talked to her. Sigh. When court resumed, Elena's eyes were swollen from crying, but her expression was much calmer. Defendant, do you have anything else to say? The judge asked. Elena stood up, voice hoarse. Your Honor, I agree to divorce. The courtroom was in an uproar. Even Elena's lawyer was stunned. I indeed did wrong and hurt my family. Elena looked at me, tears falling again, but this time without a tantrum. Caleb, I'm sorry. She paused, voice very light. I have no objection to Lily's custody going to you, but I hope to have visitation rights. After all, I am her mother. I looked at her, feelings mixed. Was this still the Elena I knew? The judge breathed a sigh of relief. Since both parties agreed to divorce, we will now make the final confirmation regarding property division and child custody. When the whole process was over, it was already 4:00 p.m. Walking out the courthouse gate, I suddenly felt much lighter, as if unloading a heavy burden. Elena followed behind me, asking softly, "Caleb, when can I see Lily?" I didn't look back. Every Saturday from 2 to 5 p.m. at my parents' house. Okay. Her voice was small. Thank you. I didn't look back, walking straight to the parking lot. This marriage was finally over. After the divorce, the original house went to Elena. I didn't want to stay there and be reminded of this failed experience, but Elena needed it. I was later informed by friends that she really cut ties with Julian completely. Once when Julian came looking for her again, he was actually stabbed by Elena, who cursed him for causing her family to scatter. The matter was huge. It was my in-laws who spent a lot of money and pulled many strings to settle the matter. Because I was single and focused on my career, my income was quite good. Lily lived with me in a small rented apartment. Although the place wasn't big, father and daughter were at ease. But not long after, every day after work, I saw Elena waiting downstairs with a thermos. "Caleb, I made stew for you guys." She handed it over carefully. "The kind you like best." I took the thermos, didn't speak. This stew was indeed my favorite. Elena's cooking had always been good. "Daddy, Mommy made stew." Lily poked her head out from the back seat, eyes lighting up. Elena hurried over. "Lily, be good. Mommy missed you." When I picked up my daughter, she watched from the side. If her daughter wanted Mommy, she would step up to hug and coax her. Sometimes Lily acted spoiled, wanting to go home with Mommy. Elena would say with red eyes, "Lily, listen to Daddy. Mommy can't take you home." Every holiday, she also came to my parents to give gifts, her attitude very humble. On Thanksgiving, she knocked on the door holding a big pumpkin pie. My mom opened the door, seeing her, expression complicated. "Mom, I bought this pie, please taste it." Elena bowed, voice light as a mosquito. My dad put down the newspaper in his hand. "Elena, come in and sit." "No, Dad, I just came to see you too." Elena's eyes were red. "Is Lily home? I want to see her." That day, Lily was doing homework. Seeing Mommy come, she threw down her pen and rushed over. Elena hugged her daughter, tears falling patter-patter, yet forcing a smile to amuse Lily. She did these things rain or shine. Even my parents were moved by her spirit. Once my mom specifically talked to me, "Caleb, Elena knows she was wrong. Look how obedient she is now." My dad also chimed in, "People who hasn't made a mistake. She has repented like this. Just give her another chance." "Mom, Dad, some things can't be fixed just by changing." I shook my head. "But she's done so much for you." Mom sighed, "Waiting for you downstairs even when it rains. My heart aches watching." Elena was indeed persistent. Once in heavy rain, I saw her standing downstairs when I got off work, soaked through, holding a thermos. I wanted to pretend not to see, but Lily shouted lying on the car window, "Mommy, Mommy is getting rained on." In that moment, I was indeed somewhat touched, but quickly suppressed by reason. I knew she was atoning for her previous mistakes, but the spirit in my heart was gone. Those lies, that $75,000, that subconscious protective movement, these things were like nails in a board in my heart. Even if pulled out, the holes were still there. This failed marriage made me completely lose faith in love and marriage. We used to be so beautiful and sweet, yet couldn't withstand the test of time and human nature. No matter how many reasons, I couldn't get past the hurdle in my heart. Sometimes I also thought if only time could turn back. But reality has no ifs, only results. I also found a chance to tell Elena clearly that I no longer believe in love, so don't wait for me. The rest of my life is just for Lily. "Caleb, I don't ask to remarry. I only ask for your forgiveness." Elena stood downstairs, tears sliding down her cheeks. "I know I committed an unforgivable mistake, but I really changed. Whether you change or not has nothing to do with me." My voice was calm. "We are over. You should find your own life instead of wasting time on me. My life is you and Lily." She choked. "I've thought a lot these years. I destroyed not just a marriage, but the future of the three of us." I spoke no more, turned to go upstairs. But Elena just shed tears hearing this, and continued as usual afterwards. I had no choice. Since she wanted to go on like this, I let her be. I just focused on my career and raising my daughter. When Lily went to elementary school, Elena picked her up and dropped her off every day without fail. At parent-teacher meetings, she sat in the back row, listening quietly to the whole process. When Lily got an award, she was more excited than me, applauding with red eyes. "Daddy, Why can't Mommy come home? Lily asked me once. Mommy did something wrong and needs time to walk out of it. I patted her head. Study hard. You'll understand when you grow up. My daughter grew up day by day, elementary, middle, high school, college. Her brows and eyes looked more and more like the young Elena. Sometimes looking at her, I would zone out, as if seeing the green Elena from 20 years ago. At every important stage of my daughter later, Elena was present, but she never overstepped, always watching from afar, supporting silently. Meanwhile, I became a greasy middle-aged man, temples graying, belly growing. Parents were very old, thankfully still healthy. My father-in-law passed away the year before last. I attended the funeral. That day, Elena wore black, plain clothes, thin to the bone, eyes sunken, completely without her former beauty. After the funeral, Elena took Martha to live together in that house. Dad, don't you think Mommy still loves you? Lily asked me the year she graduated college. Whether she loves or not, it's in the past. I sighed. In this life, not doing what I should do poorly is good enough. Finally, one day, my daughter got a boyfriend, a nice young man, good family background too. 2 years later, they said they were getting married. She asked me carefully, Dad, can we invite Mommy to the wedding? I froze for a long time, looking at my daughter's expectant eyes. Hesitating, I nodded in agreement. Really? Lily jumped up excitedly. Daddy, thank you. I knew my daughter had actually forgiven her mother long ago. My parents also persuaded me repeatedly, saying Elena never remarried, and they saw her efforts over the years. Elena waited 20 years for this day. My mom told me once, Caleb, you should let go too. But only I knew I still couldn't get past that hurdle in my heart. I am a stubborn person. Those things have been playing tricks in my heart all these years, churning so I couldn't sleep every night. And Elena lived in regret all these years, so she aged very fast. Hair gray, back hunched, looking 10 years older than her actual age. Knowing I agreed to invite her to the daughter's wedding, Elena wept with joy, hugging the daughter who personally delivered the invitation and crying for a long time. Mom, don't cry. Your makeup is running. Lily wiped her tears with heartache. Mommy is happy, too happy, Elena said with a trembling voice. For 20 years, Mommy has looked forward to this day. I listened outside the door, mood complicated. 20 years. She really atoned for 20 years. Then should I let go of that obsession? Story complete.